Hi there, everyone. I had a request to do a follow-up on a video that I did a while ago on the intro to the Gordon Lightfoot tune, If You Could Read My Mind. So someone asked if I could just do the rest of the tune. And the rest of the tune is quite a lot like the intro, but I thought I would also have a look at maybe the solo. I mean, the solo was done by another guitar player on the track, but you can kind of combine them on a single guitar, and I can show you kind of some basic ideas on how to do that. So just to recap, I'll put a link to the other video, so in case you missed the intro is a little more, I think, critical that it's done in the way that he did it, because there's another melody line that the other guitar player is playing, and you want them to kind of line up with the specific notes that they're using. In the singing, it's maybe not so critical, because you're kind of, if you do a regular pattern, then it can just sort of become part of the background. So the intro was kind of like this. So I won't go into that, because again, you can just reference the other one. There's quite a lot of detail on that, on what's going on there. But the syncopation is important, and where the other notes are getting hit, the melodic syncopated notes are quite important where they land. So when he gets into the tune, you could do that. You could go, if you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. So I could go and put that A in there. If you could read my mind, love. Missed it there. If you could read my mind, love. But it becomes a little, you can't do it all the time, because it'll interfere with the melody that's being played. So I would play it safe. I would either just play a strict pattern of thumb, index, middle. And again, just the index, middle, and ring finger are going to be on the top 3 strings, or on the next 3 strings. And really, as long as you're playing notes of the chord, you can play any sort of patterns that you want that fit the time. So I'm going to pick this pattern. I'm going to go thumb, index, middle, thumb up, thumb, index. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and if you wanted to, you could reverse that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that way I'm going thumb, middle, index, thumb, middle, index, thumb, index. And that creates a nice backdrop for the singing on the verse. So the verse is made up of 2 chords. Again, I discussed them in the other video. It's just a G chord. If you add that A, it's just simply an add 9, because A comes after G. G would be 1 or 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's called a G add 9. So basically, those first 2 chords take care of, let's see, the first 4 lines of the song. So if I do I'll do maybe the backward pattern. If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old-time movie about a ghost from a wishing well. Now that last note on that F chord, I'll just explain that again on this video as well. I would call that an F6 sharp 11 chord, because it's got the 6th note of F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is that open D right there. The F and the A belong to the chord. In the key of F, the B should be B flat, which is F, G, A, B. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the fourth note, but this is a sharp 4. So that's a B note, which I'm playing open in this case. So you can change the order of the notes any way that works for you. And so you could call it F6 sharp 11. I could also pretend that was a D chord, a D minor chord, because it's got the D. If I take D as the root, then F would be the flatted third, D, E, F. And the A would be the fifth of that chord, D, E, F, G, A. And the B then would be the sixth, so it would be a D minor 6 slash F. So that a slash chord is when you put a different bass note other than the root of the chord. So it's a D minor chord, which is just D, F natural, A, and the sixth note then would be B. A is the fifth. So you could name it that. You know, basically, if you play the song and you go, if you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. There's a D minor chord. Sounds pretty good. I could play it as a D minor 6 like this. What a tale my thoughts could tell. So I've just added the open B into that cowboy chord. If I played it as an F chord, if you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. That kind of works too. If I stick a B in there, I get this. What a tale my thoughts could tell. If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. So I'm just kind of playing standard chords and adding the affected notes, the added notes that are put into them. I could also think of it as a G chord. So if this is G, and with the A in there we get a G add 9. If I stick an F in the bass, all the other notes are the same. But if I reference it to the G chord, then it would be G would be the root. Now there is no G in this chord, so this is called a rootless chord, which happens quite often, and they're quite interesting because they have all the upper extensions but no root. And usually the bass player will be playing that anyway quite often, or somebody will be referencing the G. So I got an F in the bass, which is the flatted 7. So the flatted 7, if you think of a G chord, if I think of that as number 8, that high G, there's the normal 7 right by the G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do, re, mi. If I flatten it, I get an F, which is how you would play sort of a cowboy G7th chord. So if I look at that, I've got an F, but I'll put it in the bass this time. I've got the D, or let's go in order. So I've got the no G, but the next note would be B. Well, I have a B. The next note would be B, C, D. I have a D, and I have the A, which would be, in a G chord, would be the 9. So that's this with an F in the bass makes it a G7th chord with the 9. So we just call that a G9, and that's understood that you would have an F natural in that chord. So it sounds kind of like a mutated G chord. So, chords can be named many different things depending on how it actually sounds in the tune. I think for this tune, probably it sounds more like either the F or the D minor sound to me. So anyway, long ramble about the types of chords that are in the first part. But it's basically, if I do a straight pattern, I think I said I was going to go thumb, M, I. There in somewhere, but you could go forward. like an old-time movie, like a ghost from a wishing well. So, that would take care of the first half of the verse. And then there's some chords he'll, like, again, the other guitar player is doing things like when he goes from the G, in a castle dark, is a G7th chord, or a fortress strong. So the other guitar player is doing like a run and playing, again, this tritone idea in a G7th chord that makes a G7th a G7th. So I could just add that flat 7. Remember, the flat 7 was the F. Well, I could add it in here. So if I play a one-finger G chord, I just add that F, I get that same tense sound as that, which leads your ear to the C chord. So that F wants to go really badly to the E. And so that's how I think how I would do it, is just if I do the forward arpeggio now, so I'm going thumb I M. Again, you could go thumb M I. And the pattern is sort of a 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2, which makes it a little syncopated. So thumb I M, thumb I M, thumb I, and the bass kind of bops back and forth between the G and the D. So if I get this in that part, in a castle dark, or a fortress strong, with chains up. Now here, I play a little bit of a chord, because Lightfoot goes and kind of strums it with his index finger, which is fine. I could just play it like the other pattern. I could go one, sorry, not like that. I could go 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2, or I could go 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. Any choice of strings will work. But it's kind of nice just to vary it a little bit. So he goes, I would play it with the middle and ring finger. He does this. So his index is kind of coming up and then strumming it. That's fine too. And he does the same on the E minor. So he does that. So the chords are G, in a castle door, which we're going to play that F down here. And then C chord, or a fortress strong, to D, with chains upon my E minor feet. To C, you know that ghost is me, back to G. Let's just take that part. So if I do the thumb I M, in the castle dark, add the F, or a fortress strong, with chains upon my feet. You know that ghost is me. So I did the pattern, thumb I M, thumb I M, thumb I, everywhere except on the chains upon my feet line. So I did chords. And the pattern was very simple. 1, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. In the E minor, I actually need one finger on the E. So I'm playing the top 3 strings. And then go back to the pattern. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. So it's really like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it takes the same amount of time. It's just a 1-bar figure. And then to wrap it up, he's going to go, I will never be set free as long as I'm a ghost that you can see. Back to the intro. With this syncopation. And the chords for this would be C, I will never, then it's a G chord with a B in the bass. So simply, you could do it one finger and play the D, G, B open. Or I I could add a D. Anything in a G chord is good, G, B, or D. So I could stick a D on there. Then it sounds like it's going higher. I will never be set free as long as I'm a ghost that you can. There I did the strumming pattern on the D again. I think actually he plays a D7 there. A ghost that you can see. There's another trick you could do on the D7. Ghost that you can... Ghost that you can see. So what I did was lead it by an F sharp into the G chord. I will never be set free as long as I'm a ghost that you can see. So you can see really all you need to do is make sure that you've got chord tones and settle on what pattern your right hand is going to do. It can change. Like I added the chords in the bit that he does too. But you can, whatever you like and whatever works well with your voice. Okay, now I'm going to take you into the solo. I'm just going to go have my dinner first, and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. Ooh, dinner was good. And so I just want to talk about the solo. And basically, Red Shea, I think, did the track, or the guitar player, I believe it was him, just basically played Gordon Lightfoot's melody that he did in the first line. You know, if you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. That's what he does for the solo. I think he may do it up an octave, I can't remember. But like we can do that while we're sort of holding the chord. So what we're thinking of is keep it very simple. The chords that Lightfoot's playing during the solo are the same two chords that he did at the beginning of the verse. So it's G and then the F6, or D6 over F, whatever way you want to think about that chord. So he's going, something like this, and it doesn't matter the order that you do here, whatever feels good. That's basically what's going on, except there's no singing and the other guitar is playing the melody. So just to give you an idea how syncopated that is, I'll play it against my foot. My foot's going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and... So I just played the bass, G for the G chord, and the F for the F chord. We can do them as half notes. So if I went 1, 2, 3, so I'll give you the right beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then go to the F. Just let that ring. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da. Dun dun da da dun dun da da dun dun da 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 da. So I kept the F just one. You can develop it into whatever you want. You could do half notes. You could do all quarter notes. You could play different notes of the chord as an alternate bass, but it just gets progressively more complex. So I'm going to break it down very, very simply, and I'm including just a chart to show you how that looks on the page. So here's my beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 I did there was just add to that G, I added some Ds in there. But you have to make sure that you play those quite quietly because you don't want to disturb the melody. So I went 1 and strong. That's the first melody note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1. Now here, instead of playing this low F, I went up an octave. And I tried to hold this F down while I played a harmonized line, the F and the A. So this interval is called a sixth, A, B, C, D, E, F. Those notes are 6 notes away. So there, I just followed it down. If the scale went, it just follows the scale, doesn't it? Every note, except here it leaps, and then it fills back in. So you just take that A, which is a sixth away, and follow it down. Do a skip, fill it up, and I get this. Now, a nice way to do that with your right hand is just we're keeping the same 1, 2, 3 fingers, but rather than have your fingers lined up like this, you just bring that middle one up, and the natural spacing there will give you, the string that's missing is your middle finger. So if you look at my hand, I'm going to go try to get it in on this hand a bit. They kind of work like one finger. Then make sure you don't get sort of this ba-ding. I mean, you could do that if you want, but I wouldn't do it all the time. You don't want... it'll get on your nerves after a while. So most of the time you want them together. And I've got a slur mark there, so I'm actually pulling that off. 2 and 3 and... so I pulled it off. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Pull off. Hit, hit. You don't have to do the slurs. It just sounds a little smoother. Here's the whole solo. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now you notice I took the F off after a while. At that slow tempo, it's not ringing anymore, so I may as well take it off and make it easier on this hand. But, at a faster tempo, I might leave it. So if I do it at speed... sorry. Time slow. There you go. So that's a nice way to deal with that in a solo situation where, you can play the actual notes of the solo that were played on the record, but still kind of give a semblance of the chord that's there, so you're doing both parts. And the rest of the song is just really the same. I would decide on what patterns you're doing with the right hand and, more or less maintain them through. You could try that little bit on the D chord in the E minor, where he's kind of strumming it, or you could finger pick it, just keep it steady all the way through. The important thing is that type of part is just sort of a background for your voice to sit on. It doesn't have to be that complicated. So there you go. There's the rest of that song, and I'll put a link in there to the other video for the intro that's a little more detailed and a little more detailed on the chord naming and how I came up with that. So have fun with that, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.